Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. This is Friday Night Live with me, SD, Dhaki, and Dhakir Dawal here as well. Joining us, S and the T. Dhakir, great to be back in studio. And
Yeah.
Jazakallah. Thank you for holding the fort.
Oh, wait,
You
it's
know,
nice. Nice to see you back and healthy and in one
yeah,
piece, man.
Alhamdulillah. Hey, the skull had me very cold. It hit me knocked. It hit me with the KO. And yeah, so anyway, it's great to be here. And now it's time for our football segment. Okay, it's 8 p.m. We welcome one and all to Salam Media tuning in via Facebook Live, via the YouTube channel, and also those on the Radio Al Ansar on 90.4 FM and 105.6 FM, respectively. Whether you are out in Durban, maybe towards Musgrave side, or maybe taking a drive past the beach, wherever, I don't know, wherever you are sitting at home, we welcome you as well. And to those all around the world, good evening and welcome. This is Friday Night Live, and we have a fantastic edition now in the football segment. Sports tonight, we profile none other than Mark Fish. And we're going to play you a short video clip. I'd like you to take a look and listen to this.
Goal. Bolton have a corner. Really dramatic beginning here. And a goal from Fish. The drama continues. 2-2. Straightforward set piece, really. They changed the angle slightly. McMillan came but didn't get there. Fish did. Goal unguarded.
You know what I like to call in a net.
What a quality player.
What a header that was. And yeah, we're talking to pedigree here. You know, these are South African football legends, the likes of Mark, the likes of Quinton, Eric Tinkler.
I'm sure you're just saying
Sean
Quinton
Bartlett.
because he was an ex-United
Well,
player.
okay, right. Look, I'm a staunch United fan, but they were of the same era,
Most
the same
definitely,
caliber, the same understanding of the game, and things are different. We welcome now to Mark Fish, former Bafana player, Charlton Athletic. I mean, the list goes on. There's Orlando Pirates. Mark Fish, good evening. Welcome to Salam Media. Welcome to Friday Night Live with ST.
Good evening, guys, and yeah, thank you very much for inviting me onto your show. Thank you for that clip. It was one of the rare goals I scored, but it was a fond memory in my career in the English Premier League.
Well, you know what? Obviously, we know you were a defender, but you know what? I like to call that goal a fish in a net. A mock fish in a net. And now talking about English football, and just listening to Martin Tyler giving the commentary there. Fantastic stuff, man. Mark, you are a legend. We were much younger when you were at your prime. The likes of you and Neil and Sean Bartlett. And whoever else were part of many squads that you played with. Let's talk a bit about, obviously, Mark Fish being born in Cape Town, got scouted, the career began, with former Jomo Cosmos coach Roy Matthews. And then obviously in 94, you were signed by Orlando Pirates. Take us through this whole transition, when this happened at Orlando Pirates and your journey from there.
But for most importantly, and I have to announce, I know this is a football show, but I was born in Cape Town, and my mother left my father when I was 8 months old. So I grew up in Pretoria, but I'm very proud to say I'm a Stormer. So there's no ways I'm a Blue Bull. Just to tell you guys that. I played football for a club, Arcadia Shepherds, and then, as you said, they got spotted by Roy Matthews from Jomo Cosmos. Jomo came and then signed for Jomo Cosmos in 92. And then, 2 years later, found myself at, as you said, there, 94, signing for Orlando Pirates. There was a weird, as a club, we had played in the Cup Winners' Cup in Africa for Jomo Cosmos. We got to the semi-finals, but unfortunately, the form that we showed in Africa, we didn't have the same form here in what was then the the NSL, National Soccer League, and
Yes.
we got relegated. So we got relegated as Cosmos in '93. And next minute, as you said there, I found myself and 5 other teammates from Jomo Cosmos signing for a new Orlando Pirates, where Ivan Koza was there and he wanted to turn the club around. And '94 found myself playing for Cosmos. You know what Jomo's like, so you play football there, and if you're lucky, you got 20, 30 people watching you play. Next, you're playing
Yeah.
for Orlando, and you've got hundreds, thousands watching you.
Yeah, definitely.
Mark, I've done some research on where you come from. It says that you come from Affis. Affis is known for their rugby. What is it like growing up in Pretoria, a city known for the Blue Bulls, like you've said, and being a football player?
So luckily, I played for a club. I mean, you guys, as you said, you were a lot younger when I was playing my prime. So the football generation, there was a club called Arcadia Shepherds. They were in the professional league. You had Arcadia Shepherds. You had they were changed the name of Arcadia Full. And if you look at the history of South African football, they were a very big club. And I grew up from the age of 6 playing for that club. So I played club football, but I didn't go to Affis. I went to Pretoria Boys High, which is, again, it's the English version of Affis. But as you said, that was where John Smith was. So it was at least known the rugby playing school. But I think 2 years ago, introduced football. So finally, football is getting their way into that school that's got a fantastic history of Bafana players going through Pretoria Boys High.
Now, obviously, moving on to the Premier League, a totally different, game changer. Coming from, as you say, Pretoria Boys and going to Jomo Cosmos, the change and the contrast to Orlando Pirates. PSL and the EPL. Okay, today the EPL is like one of the most toughest leagues to play in terms of professionalism and the bar and the level that they've maintained today. But looking at how the PSL was back in your days when you were playing, for the likes of Charlton Athletic, etc., and playing with players like Sean Bartlett in them, what was the Premier League like then? And what did you enjoy most about being there? And how do you look at the Premier League now and view it as a non-Premier League player any longer?
No, I think it's most importantly, I went from Orlando Pirates to Lazio. So I had a year experience in playing in the Serie A. And then I went to Bolton Wanderers and then Charlton Athletic. So the English in Italy taught me to be a better defender. In England, I would say the English Premier League then was, you had the likes of Thierry Henry, you had Alan Shearer, you had Michael Owen coming onto the scene, you had Robbie Fowler. So it's still, you had the continental flair, bringing that into the English Premier League to bring, I don't want to say more skill, but to brighten it, to lighten it up. And obviously, over the years, that's what they've done, the English Premier League, and that's why it is now. That's why you see players all across the world playing in the English Premier League. But again, I think that's the pace of the English Premier League. And again, I think what makes it the league that it is in comparison to the other leagues, where you very seldom see a Barcelona or a Real Madrid losing to a team at the bottom of the log. Same in the German league, same in the French league. But in the English Premier League, as we saw with the Liverpool going on this unbeaten run, and they go to Watford and go lose 4-0 to Watford when they had that, where they look like they're going to be unbeatable and get the invincible record as Arsenal had.
Yes.
So that's what makes the English Premier League very exciting, because on any given day, the so-called lower team or lower log team certainly can cause a surprise. And I think that's what makes the English be so exciting. Fans around the area where you play, they grow up, grandfathers, fathers, they grow up supporting the club. So it's got a fantastic history. And the English Premier League today, as a non-player, I don't watch as much football as I would maybe like to, but it's exciting to watch. And it's if you're a Liverpool fan, it doesn't look like you guys are Liverpool fans. You look like United fans. So because you don't look happy
Well,
that
I am.
Liverpool won.
I'm clearly a United fan.
Only the one on the side, Mark.
Well, we
Only
know
the
what
one on the
I
side.
mean. Anyway, well, that's why the
I'm a
social.
Scouse by nature.
But,
But
but the
no,
exciting thing, what has happened over the years is that you've seen the quality of coaches that have come into the English game. They've lifted up the coaching. I mean, look at let's use Wolves for example. I mean, they're fighting for
no.
Champions League. Wolves, a very well supported team. They've got a foreign coach, and he's just stuck with it. And I think so many good things has happened in the English Premier League for the players and for the game itself. And if we go a little bit further, we look at the English national team. Look at their style of play, how they've changed over the years because the continental flair, the different coaching that's been brought in. I think that's improved the English game at a national level, and that's what the English Premier League has done for English football.
Mark, with your
No,
Mark, with
it's
your
fine.
transition, you came into football and made the move over to Europe when sport was just about becoming professional in South Africa from the amateur era. What are some of the challenges you faced with regards to signing contracts and obviously not having as much exposure as your European players who's come from a platform where they've been in a professional era for a few decades before us? What was your transition like moving from amateur to a fully professional club like Lazio?
Yeah, I agreed. So I think the first challenge was, playing for Jomo Cosmos. You weren't sure if you were going to get paid because the check used to bounce, first of all. And then secondly, sometimes at the Orlando Pirates, well, I got once paid with false money as well. So those were the exciting times in the South African League. But then, as you said, from a playing point of view, it was semi-professional then. So we probably trained 3 times a week and then played on a Saturday or Sunday. So it was a massive step going from Orlando Pirates to Lazio, where you're training twice a day up until the Thursday, and then once on the Friday, once Saturday, and then playing on a Sunday. So the professionalism was the big step for me, and it was something much needed. And I was very fortunate to have that stepping stone to be able to improve myself as a footballer.
Now, talking about scouts coming and knocking on the door and enticing you about Serie A and Lazio, you had an opportunity to play for your boyhood club, Manchester United. Any specific reasons as to why you moved to Italy? Was it the weather perhaps in England? Or, I mean, what was so enticing about the Serie A at the time? Or would you compare the level of the Serie A and the EPL at the time for you, and in that era, Bundesliga, etc.? Was the Serie A perhaps your better preference, in your opinion, or what was it?
No. So the challenge, it wasn't a challenge. So when we won the African Nations Cup, I was invited by United and Lazio to go over with the people representing me at the time. So we went actually to watch it was a Monday night. Everton was playing Man United at Old Trafford. And I don't remember, do you remember the Russian player that Kanchalska, that used to play for United, and then he moved to Everton. So that was that time. And we sat in the box, we watched the game, and then afterwards sat with Alex Ferguson, and he just said, no, he likes the way I play, just wants me to be there for 2 weeks to see if I can settle in the way that they play, which was a 4-4-2. If you remember Bafana, we were playing more a 3-5-2 formation, whichever you want to call it. And then we just said we're under obligation to go to Lazio as well. And when we went there, they just wanted to sign me straight away. So it was more, I would say, at the time, I would say that for me as a defender, certainly there's no better place to learn your trade as an Italian, especially in the 1980s and 1990s. So certainly that wasn't the reason why I went there.
Right.
But I'm also
in United.
But I also need to,
there were players that you were playing of.
Yeah.
In that caliber, I mean, playing with the likes of Sean Bartlett, playing with the likes of, and I'm talking your Bafana teammates, Quentin Fortune, many of them who've moved to the, European leagues, Quentin made it to Manchester United, etc. In terms of the level of quality players we've had in your era compared to now, there is a lack, in my opinion, of South African players really dominating and making waves among the various leagues. Hey, Zakir, I mean, Serie A, Bundesliga. Yet we have players from North and Central Africa who are now playing and who are players of the years, for like the likes of your Sadio Manes and Mo Salahs and your Samuel Eto'os of Barcelona and, the early 2000s. And where has South Africa maybe lost the component? What's the lost component here in terms of the growth? What do you think, as a former, Bafana player, legend of our game? What do you think is missing, and how do you feel and think our football and the SAFA and the talent in South Africa, how can that grow? What is required?
So again, I think one of the challenges has been when most of the players in the mid 90s or early 90s left to Europe, it was to have a better life. Remember, we weren't getting paid well here, so certainly we weren't looked after here. It has turned around, so players do get looked after very, a lot more financial backing and support, and it's become a lot more professional. Certainly, that's one of the challenges. But again, do we look at, do players want to, do they have that hunger to actually go and compete abroad where there's a challenge being, okay, you sign for a team and maybe that week you're not in the team, so you've got to sit in the cold. Are you willing to make that commitment? So we don't see enough of that. We're seeing a lot of youngsters going to different leagues in Europe, but there's no one playing at the top league where you want, as you said, you mentioned all of the players that the Lucas Radebe, Phil Missingers, the John Michels, you were playing in the top leagues in Europe. So we don't have enough of that. So the desire and hunger of players isn't really there, because you can get paid well, and you can have the lifestyle of what you need. And South Africa's got beautiful weather, you got the women watching you got all the things that you want. Why would you want to go sit, have a struggle to maybe make it in Europe? So I think that's one of the challenges. But for me, the biggest challenge is for our national team is that locally, the biggest problem is that the players think that playing for Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns is the same as playing for your country. Now, there's the big problem there, because they get paid a lot of money playing for their clubs, and then there are still the same issues that we've had since I played for Bafana, where there's money issues when you play for your country and this and that. So players can never focus on just playing football. There's always something that is array at the national camp. Again, players need to clarify that playing for your club is certainly different to playing for your country.
I must just come in here 1 second.
Yeah.
Our comments on Facebook and to our viewers and listeners. Shafi Wade saying top player with flexing muscles there. Nadeem Patel, what a player. We grew up watching Mark live at FNB screaming fish. And we thank the viewers and the listeners there obviously for that. Mark, what did you enjoy most, about the game and the atmosphere in the crowd, in the stadiums? What do you miss most about that?
So you're breaking up a bit there, but what I got, there's nothing than training hard in the week and then running out on a football field in front of 50,000 people, however many fans there are, to play your trade against some of the best players in the world week in, week out. I think that's what every footballer wants, and that's whether you're playing for your club, in whichever league you're playing in, and certainly obviously playing for your country. I think football is, and I don't want to be a cliche with saying it, football brings people together. It breaks all these things back from a playing point of view. There's nothing more rewarding than going out and playing a football match. And again, obviously it's nice to win, but win or lose, doing what you love and hopefully doing to the best of your ability in front of however many fans, and obviously playing for yourself, for your teammates, and for your club. I think there's nothing that as a professional sportsman and certainly as a footballer.
Mark, you've chatted to us a bit about Bafana, and you've told us your memorable moments in the Bafana jersey. Let's go back to 1996. Mark, it's a year that is unforgettable in South African football. This was certainly when South Africa was in their prime, at the pinnacle. We were up there competing with the best. Mark, we won the World Cup just 1995. Then you've got Bafana continuing to carry the South African flag high up there. What is that experience like? Run us through the emotional experience, the Madiba spirit, the Madiba magic coming out to that pitch in front of an FNB stadium filled to capacity. Mark, run me through that final match of the AFCON final in 1996.
No, definitely. It is, as you said, you mentioned the Springboks had just won the Rugby World Cup. We had them, fortunately, the opening game. We had them walk around the field, showing their support for us. And again, the opening game was a key game for us because remember, we became the hosts, and next minute you're playing the number one ranked team on the continent, and we pulverized it. We had an unbelievable display by the likes of Shoes and Doctor. And again, Mark Williams and Fulmasinger, the late Fulmasinger, they all scored goals. And on that first game, when we beat the number one ranked team on the continent 3-0 and comfortably 3-0, back in the training, we realized there's something good that can happen here. And again, so it carried on. Again, the semi-final, I think, was our final. Whoever would have won that game between us and Ghana, again, would have gone on to win the trophy. I think that was the strongest semi-final compared to the other one. Again, we outshone. Sean Bartlett scored a fantastic goal. Shoes, Luka Kadebi, Mark Tony, Yeboah out. He had him in his pocket, if you want to call it. That was a phenomenal display. And then the final. I think the final was when was someone going to score, and let's hope that someone score. And then you've got to ask no one else but my teammate, the Nathan builder, Mark Williams. He came on and scored 2 superb goals, 2 well-taken goals. And, I think it was just a climax of being in the opening game, getting to the final. And eventually, by the time we played the final, we had the country supporting us. Yes, the first game, the second game, we had football fans supporting us. But I think by the time the final came, we had the country supporting us, meaning you had people watching football that would not have watched football before.
Now, Mark, I want to talk about the Mark Fish Foundation and the work that gets done there, and what's the foundation all about for football growth, etc. For those who aren't aware of it, what can you share with us?
So yeah, thank you very much for that. We do football tournaments on the farms in Limpopo. We're looking to do across the country eventually. With obviously, again, you do all these things, you need financial support, but we're doing a shortened version of football. We've changed the style of football. It's to change the way we think about playing the game. Quickly, I'll go through it. It's a 20-minute and a half, so a 40-minute game. It's 11v11, and then you flick the coin, and when you win the toss, you select a 5-minute power play when you want a 5-minute power play. And in that power play, the opposition needs to take 3 players off the field. So it becomes 10v7. And obviously, if you're football fans, you should know what's going to happen. Make the game quicker, make it faster, improve the skills. And also what we're saying is to encourage to shoot, is that if you shoot directly outside the 18-yard, it counts as 2 goals. So you want to see goals. We want to encourage not only improving the skills, but the speed of the game needs to be improved. And then we go straight. There's no extra time. Straight to penalties. You have to hit on the 18-yard line, the semicircle. You put the ball. You have to hit the crossbar without a goalkeeper. So it's skills development. So we're seeing what is happening is that not only is improving players, it's improving coaching, and hopefully improve the knowledge of a football fan. Because us as football fans, we love Chiefs, we love Pirates, we love Sundowns, we love Bloem Celtic, we love all these teams. But which football do we love watching, and why do we love watching them? Do we love Barcelona? Do we love Real Madrid? Do we love Liverpool, United? It's because they play a different way of the game, and we as South Africans need to understand that we need to change the way we play, because we feel as South African football fans that we should be qualifying for AFCONs and we should be qualifying for World Cups, but unfortunately we're not. So we need to change the way we think and play the game, and let's start it at a lower level. So at least we do it. We're hoping to target 15. This is where we target them.
Definitely, Mark. And you spoke a lot about World Cups, and South Africa known for playing, well, in my lifetime, 3 World Cups that I can remember. The most recent one being 2010. Mark, back in your time when you played in the World Cup, 98, France 98, if I'm not mistaken. Bafana went on and had a slight chance of qualifying for the round of 16 if they had to go on and beat France in the last group stage match. Mark, rumor has it that the South African national team that morning went to go sleep at about 3 a.m. due to discussions and conversations being had in the boardroom with SAFA officials. What exactly happened the night before that match? And do you think that hampered our chances of actually qualifying for the round of 16?
So unfortunately, I don't know the real story what happened, but I could imagine that if you heard the story that they were up until 3 o'clock in the morning having discussion with Safa, I could certainly believe the truth to that. And again, unfortunately, that for them, that their whole disappointment was the Uruguay game. Mexico, they had a fantastic draw opening game of the World Cup, and Uruguay is where the guys let themselves down. Unfortunately, you had a Forlan that was on Song and Suarez as well. So very difficult group for them. But again, it's I wouldn't be surprised if that is the real reason. The 3 o'clock could have been even later than that. But unfortunately, it's those little things that we need to change in South African football if we really want to be a little bit more competitive and a little bit more professional in our performances and in our discussions with the Football Federation.
Into was the World Cup with 1998, where Benny McCarthy was still on top form, and that was the World Cup. We actually had a foreign coach coaching the Bafana national team, and it was a French coach, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and that's where the bit of the rip came in. When he said that, would you ever expect a Frenchman to let South Africa win against a France team who could possibly go on and do quite well in the tournament?
In their own territory,
Yeah.
Well, Mark, I mean, there's been so many different talking points, What I was saying was, what do you feel and what what was your takeaway from the experience of the 98, World Cup? Obviously France won it. There's lots of talent. France won the most recent one as well. Your experience, you've got accolades, AFCON, to name a few. You've got the Bafana caps to your name, playing for massive clubs. You had a fantastic and illustrious career thus far. What are some of your best moments across all your favorite memories and your teams that you've played for?
So definitely, I mean, I can touch on each club that I've played for. I would certainly say, my debut for Jomo Cosmos is certainly one. For Orlando Pirates, very fortunate to win the African Champions League in '95 with Orlando Pirates. That was a fantastic memory, and it actually surpasses my the winning of '96 with the African Nations Cup. I thought that was a lot harder for us, a lot more challenging for me as a player. And then, going to Lazio, playing in the Lazio Roma derby, that is just an phenomenal experience. And playing against, at Juve and playing at San Siro, the AC Milan Stadium.
Yeah.
So those are phenomenal
Milan.
memories. And then for Bolton, and unfortunately at Bolton, my debut was against Man United, and we had a successful draw. And then but certainly for Charlton, beating Arsenal 4-2 at Highbury, that was a phenomenal experience. So I've had, like you said, a lot of fortunate and good experiences, but I had some bad experiences as well. We've lost some games, but we'd rather not talk about them. But football's given me a lot. I've been very fortunate to be able to have lived life to the full through football. And like I said, it's given me a lot. Thank you.
Mark, it's been great having you with us, and thank you so much for taking your time this evening to join us on Friday Night Live with me, ST, on our football segment. How honored are we to have a South African football legend, none other than Mark Anthony Fish. We thank you so much. You know, when we were younger, about maybe I think about 8 or 10, you know, and when you guys were lifting up the trophy with Madiba there, and Neil Tovey next to you guys, then it was like, you know, but that gold, and black and green skippers, you know, it's, you know, so many memories that we cherish. You know, it's people like you that we would like to thank. And, you know, never would I have imagined having you, you know, here on my show. And it's so uh, great that we have you here. So we appreciate your time, Mark, and thanks so much. And you are doing great work with the Mark Anthony Foundation. And to all the viewers and listeners of Salam Media, also, as Mark he has mentioned, you know, funds are required. Support the foundation. There's talent. There's kids that are playing out in Limpopo and various other areas, and let's contribute and make SA great again, and you know, make our level of football great again. Mark Fish, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, guys, and all the best. Enjoy your evening.
You too. Thank you. Bye bye.
Cheers, Mark. Yes, what
How
an interesting
awesome was that? I mean, like,
Huh?
yo,
Blown away?
yeah,
Was that
like
starstruck?
well, I mean, the production team in the week was like, Jen, okay, we're talking to Mark Fish. I'm like, okay, Mark Fish, and then you like live with the man, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
these were people that when we were 90s, man, you know, 96 AFCON.
No, you must have been about 30 years old when they played AFCON, man. Come on, dude.
I know, mashallah. But hey, you know, I mean, to those who can relate, growing up, you know, 94 just was a year that broke the ice between, you know, coming from that nationalist regime to freedom. And we were the young kids who saw the Rugby World Cup South Africa winning. We then seen success with the football. Madiba was an icon. South Africa was great. We're looking at South Africa now. It's a totally different story.
South Africa is still great. All depends what you make of it.
It is what you make of it. However, in terms of sport and in football, I miss the legends who we had, you know. And yeah, we definitely need to get the likes of Eric Tinkler and Quentin Fortune, many others as well, you know, onto our show, inshallah. It is now 32 minutes after 8 p.m. We're taking a quick ad break. And yes, that was Mark Anthony Fish, former Orlando Pirates and Bafana player. Coming up next, in a few minutes or so after our Nasheed break, we are going to be having the Men Can Cook. And I don't know about you, but I saw something lekker in the kitchen.
Looked like
So,
a Gatsby, a couple of burgers.
It could be, but we don't know. We'll find out when we come back.